Hello, Matt. Could you please give an introduction about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Matt, and I joined the real world about 2.5 years ago, somewhere around there. And I was currently working on a business that like wasn't safe really. So I was trying to find a escape route kind of thing, and I got into trading. I had a buddy that made a bunch of money in Bitcoin, and so I was like looking around for all these courses, and all these courses online for trading are like complete scams. And I was a big fan of the Tates and stuff, and I had seen that they had a crypto trading campus in there. So I was like, okay, I want to check that out. And for only $60 a month, I was like, sure, why not? I'll hop in. So I hopped in, and then I was like back and forth on it a little bit because I was a little confused at first, but then I had like actually started talking to some people in there, and then kind of just took off from there, and then uh, learned everything I know about trading from that campus, and it was like the best course I could have joined in terms of like people's discords and stuff. You see them online; they're always like trying to shill you a, a trading course or something, and they're just charging like 3 grand for it. So
Yeah. Okay. So you said the trading. Is that the only campus you got into before we dive deeper, or did you try other campuses as well?
so it was the only campus at first, but later on with the trading, I only had about 30,000, and I was living on about 10,000 of it, and I wanted to keep that as like a reserve, so I only actually put 20K into trading. And as I got deeper into it, I realized that I needed a lot more money, but because of my trading schedule, I couldn't just work some like regular 9 to 5. So I was like, okay, I need to like double down and pick another campus and get into it. So I got into the social media and client acquisition campus, and then I started a social media marketing thing for some local businesses. I live in a campus town, so there's like all kinds of bars and stuff around here that are always trying to promote, and a lot of them are like old heads that don't know social media stuff. So I got into that, and then that's been basically supplying my living expenses so that I can compound my trading. And so I kind of started the business because I enjoyed trading so much that I was like, I need extra money to trade with. So
Mhm.
I got in the social media campus.
Okay,
And
very
everything's
cool. You said the old heads around you, they need promotion. So how did you pitch yourself and what you do with social media marketing?
Yeah, so really, I made a big list, just like Professor Dylan Madden teaches in there. I made a big list, and then I looked up all their social media stuff and was like, okay, these guys aren't doing anything or they haven't posted in 8 months. And so I'd just cold call them, and I'd be like, hey, you know, I know that in today's day and age, there's like no marketing. So I'd basically get them to start talking about it by asking them how they're currently using marketing. They'd be like, oh, I have a billboard, or oh, I have a website that I have on Google or whatever, and trying to do Google SEO. And I was like, okay, so like this is your age range of all the people here in town. Like 90% of the people here in town are between the ages of 19 and 30. And I can safely say I've never called a billboard ad before. I've never read anything in the newspaper. And unless you have 30 grand to pay for a Netflix ad, then, there's like only one source of marketing anymore, which is social media. And so then they were always like, oh, that's really interesting. And then the goal was always not to sell them anything on the first call, but to get them to like sit down with you so you could talk with them and like explain why they need that service. And then uh, so I got one client doing that, and then I got another client just I was Ubering at the time, like trying to make extra money and having some free time kind of thing, like being able
Mhm.
to change my schedule around so that I could Uber. And I accidentally picked up one of the guys that was on my call list, and we were chatting, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I own this business," and I'm like, "Really? Well, that's really interesting." And so then we started chatting, and then got his number, and like within a week, I was working over there for him. So
Mhm. Okay, and what are you actually pitching as your service, and how much are you charging the current
Uh,
clients you have?
yeah, so I charge about 1,000 a month. It's like 975. I felt like that was a pretty good number. You know, psychologically, it's just
Mhm.
under 1,000. Um, and then I do social media, like everything. Like I'll film, I'll post, and that's for Instagram and Facebook. And then just recently, I've had a client that is more interested in like marketing through Snapchat, and so that's kind of a hard one. But been working on it, just kind of going through it, trying to do my own research and set that up. So they're happy.
Mhm. Okay, so and I'm happy now with what you answered for social media marketing. So let's switch over to trading. You said that's something you enjoy most. So for
Yeah,
now,
yeah, I love trading.
how long have you been training now?
About 2.5 years with the real world, and about 3 years outside of it. So I
Hmm.
like 3 years total. I traded for about a half a year and just had absolutely no success, and then got into the real world and was like, oh, I'm risking too much. I need to, like start with the dollar and work my way up, kind of thing.
Mhm. So let's dive deeper into that. Since you have some perspective of half a year before joining, is there any more to say about how different the resources in the real world are compared to anything you found outside?
Oh yeah, I mean everything outside, like everything on Instagram, like really the only sources are YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and like all those people, they'll give you little bits and pieces of true information, but then they'll also give you stuff that you have to filter out. So it was like everybody wants to explain like indicators and stuff like that, and that stuff only really helps if you have the fundamentals. And so when I was learning by myself, I would be like, oh, okay, like I learned this indicator, I should go trade it. And when I got into the real world, I learned that's not what you should do. What you should do is figure out how that indicator works, figure out like how you should be trading around using that indicator, and then you should test it. Like that was the biggest thing that I learned when getting into the real world is nobody outside of there talks about back testing, and that's like really where the work comes in when it comes to trading. Like I've spent 8 hours a day back testing for like 8 months before I built some good systems. And that's something that nobody talks about outside of the real world. And it's like the first thing that Professor Michael G talks about in the trading campus is you need to backtest, backtest, backtest. And then the other big thing is talking about like the actual journey for you as a person, because everybody focuses on the trading aspect, but like the thing that I love about trading is it teaches so much psychology about yourself. Like you start going to the gym because you're like, I need to be a more consistent person. So in order to be a consistent trader, you need to start out by being a consistent person. So I need to go to the gym every day. I need to set up a routine for myself. So I'm doing the same thing every single day. And then like you build all this other life skill stuff that then like plays into being a trader, and that's something also nobody talks about outside of the real world.
Because yeah, if you say that to an average young guy whose brain is rotting from all the crap he's doing on his phone or wherever, they'll think, "Oh, what do you mean mindset? Mindset doesn't matter. Give me money. I want to know how to make money
Right,
fast."
exactly, yeah, and that's all anyone ever talks about online because that's what gets engagement. That's nobody wants to hear that. So the real world gave you the hard truth about the real work that you need to put in, but if you're actually serious about it, then you'll put in the work and you'll get it done. So
Mhm. Okay, so from the system you've currently developed, what have you gotten in terms of profits, let's say overall, and in what time span was that?
So I actually only full size started trading about 5 months ago, and since then I've made about $2,500, and that's on a $10,000 account. So I've gotten like 25% returns trading at 1% risk per trade over the past 5 6 months, something like
Mhm.
that. And then I've got two other systems that I'm currently testing that I'm like scaling up into. So I'm not full size trading them yet, but they're supposed to be, so based on the data, they're going to be a lot more profitable than my first system was. So looking forward to the next 6 months.
Yep. So yeah, it's just something that requires iteration, and you continue learning from it as you go. So I'm sure when we do a follow up interview, you'll have even more to update on for that end, considering
Yep.
everything you're putting
Hopefully,
in
hopefully, as
the.
long as the data's right.
Yep. Okay. So if you were to combine everything in total from the social media marketing agency and the trading and investing, basically anything you can attribute to the real world, what would you say has that accumulated to in total for income?
Probably about like 28,000 is my estimated number. I also uh, I was in the crypto investing campus because I wanted to figure out where to park my money while I was learning the trading stuff. And so around that time, Bitcoin was like 26,000. So I put 10,000 in on Bitcoin, and then I sold out of it at about 63K or something like that, based on a high time frame system that I built early on. So then that's where the biggest portion of that money came from, was like 15,000 or something like that. So if you combine that with the money that I've made trading, and then the 10,500 that I've made from the social media, somewhere around 28, 30,000.
Well, very solid. And are you in university or no?
In my what?
In university, I guess in America that would be college.
So I was in a university for about a year and a half, and it just was not my thing. I realized that shit was a scam, and I that literally at the time was when I made that money trading Bitcoin, and then I just spent like 5,000, paid off my student debt, got got the fuck
Mhm.
out.
Mhm. Yeah, understandable. So if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
22.
22, and already
22.
making online money with location independence, pretty much.
Yep,
So
yep. Yeah,
very
it's
cool.
pretty nice. I quit my 9 to 5 last year, early in the year, when I got my first social media client, because they were already paying me more than what the job was.
And that's the goal. And for many people, that's the dream, like being able to work remotely from anywhere they want, and not being tied down to a time frame that they need to work and a location. So for 22 years old, you're doing very well for yourself.
I appreciate it. It
And
doesn't get seen a lot because I'm always kind of hiding in my room, but
that's how it goes. Now you're going
yep,
through that phase, but at some
way it
point
is.
you'll be able to do whatever you want because of the
Yep.
work you're doing now. So, do your parents know about everything you're doing? And if so, what do they think?
Yeah, I'm extremely lucky, and I'm very aware of it because I have two absolutely incredible parents, and they've always supported me in everything I've done. And like when I told them college wasn't for me and I was getting out, they were like, "Sounds great as long as you're doing something." And then I said earlier I was in a business that was kind of unsafe, and they eventually found out and knew about that, and I they were extremely happy for me to get out. So it's kind of a combination of them being awesome parents and them being like anything but that. so so yeah, they've been extremely supportive of me, and they're great parents, and I understand how blessed I am, because I know there's a lot of parents that are like, you need to go to college, you need to do this, and like I feel so bad for people like that. Like it makes their life so much harder.
Boom. Very cool. Okay, so I'm wondering now, if you hadn't joined the real world, what, where was your life heading in terms of trajectory, and what plans did you have? And then how did that end up changing after joining?
So I really had like no plan. Like it was kind of just like, floating in the wind. And I was, so I don't want to go into too much detail for like legal reasons, but basically the business before this was kind of just like happened because I enjoyed what I was doing at the time. And I don't know. It was probably going to end up with me either in jail or getting hurt or something like that. So my life was probably going to shit before I joined the real world. And honestly, like seeing all the Andrew Tate videos, and like I was at that time, that was like just when he was starting to get really famous, and a lot of that was like inspiration that I just didn't really hear a lot of. And like being in a campus town, everybody here is liberal, so nobody was going to tell you that hard truth. um, and yeah, honestly, I've told people a lot, and I have like friends and stuff that aren't in the real world, and I tell them all the time that like it literally saved my life. So I'm extremely thankful for it, and also extremely thankful that it was cheap, so I wasn't like, oh my god, I spent 3,000 on this. Like,
Mm.
so
Dude,
yeah, I think my life would have been very very different from now had I not joined.
amazing. And you are now getting interviewed because of that, because
Yep.
of the work you put in and the guidance you got. Awesome. Then, what are your current plans and goals if you were to put it into short term, medium term, and long term, considering the trajectory you're on now?
Yeah. So hold on one second. Gotta close this real quick. Sorry, I just gotta close this trade real quick.
I might not even cut this out if you'll give a good description later about what the trade involved.
Yeah, it's just a stupid meme coin, but gotta get a system that I'm working on for it. All right. All right.
So profit.
Yeah, yep. Closed it at a slight profit. I'm I'm currently testing this one. So I'm like doing dollar trade. They call it dollar trading. It's one of the things that you learn through the boot camp. And basically, once you've back tested a system, then you go through and you trade it with $1 of risk per trade. So then you can like gather the data, and then you can also gather data on like slippage. Like, was I actually able to take this trade? Was there like, was there nobody willing to sell it to me? Like, does this system have some secret behind the scenes thing that I didn't know about, and it kills your liquidity? And so then you get a sense of, does this system actually work, taking it into live trading? And then after you've got like 30 or $40 trades, then you can go, okay, start scaling it up, start taking $5 risk per trade, $10 risk per trade, and then work your way up to a 1%, which for this account would be $120 risk per trade on a $12,000 account. So
Super solid. All right, very cool. And then I'll go back to previous question, being for short term, medium term, and long term. What plans do you have now, considering the trajectory you're on?
yeah, so this year I set some goals for myself, and I'm a super outdoorsy person, so I want to do a lot more hiking this year. But one of the things that I have to accomplish before that is getting away from my social media business. So as I'd said before, is I started the social media business to enhance my trading portfolio. And I've been on that verge of making more money trading in the past month than I've been making with my social media business. And so that's like my biggest short slash medium term goal, is that I want to eventually get my portfolio size to a point where I can be full time day trading. So then I can like actually have that freedom, because I'm putting in the work now because I have to. But if I didn't have to do the social media thing, I wouldn't, just because dealing with old people that are clients is sometimes a pain in the ass. Like they get super picky, and it not being like a big agency where I have like people working for me and tons of experience, like I am just freaking flooded busy all the time. And so when I'm not trading, I'm always working for my clients. So it that's one of my biggest medium short term goals, is to make enough money trading and get these other systems to full scale risk so that I can be full time trading and double down on that. Because if I could spend all that extra time trading instead of the social media business, I know that it would just start taking off. So that's one of my other goals. And then I've been hitting like stairmasters and stuff at the gym, so I've got a physical goal because I want to do like backcountry hiking and stuff. Do like some like 5-10 day backpacking trips out in national parks here out in the U.S. So I've always been super into that, which is why the day trading lifestyle fits so well for me because I can just step away from the markets and go do something else. I don't have to worry about clients or anything.
Mhm.
And then I currently have a roommate, and so another goal of mine is end of this year or end of next year. I hope to be living on my own in my own place and having like my own stuff. Not having to live with people because right now, budget wise, I don't think I could live by myself.
Mhm. Okay, very fair. Um, have you considered charging more for what you do, at least while you're still doing the social media marketing, or having some kind of upsell or something, so it's actually works better for your time because you're earning at least some more, and then you can reinvest it back into trading?
Yeah, so I basically offer a couple different like plans for my social media one, and currently all my clients just pay for like the basic cheap one because they're not really in the mood to pay for for more than that. I've tried to upsell a couple times, but they're just not interested, unfortunately. And there is it being a campus town, there is some competition here, and the competition has they're charging 1,200 bucks a month, but they also have an agency with like you know big big fancy equipment. Like I'm filming everything on my phone. I bought a iPhone 15, and it works great for what I'm doing. But like if you're trying to compete with someone who's got camera and lighting and audio equipment, and they've got like a team of editors and stuff, and they're only charging $300 a month more than me. It just makes it almost like, I've lost clients to that. So,
Fair enough.
unfortunately, I wish I could, but I can't in
Cool.
my current place.
Makes sense. All right. So I think I'm happy to wrap up with a final question. That being, for people who are unsure about joining the real world because they're thinking for $50 they might get scammed, what advice would you have to them?
It's the only platform that isn't a scam, honestly. That's my biggest advice is like if you're willing to spend $60, going to the bar or something like that, and then you also pay $30 a month for someone's Discord group, they're just giving you signals. If you actually want to learn how to do something yourself, especially when it comes to trading, join the real world because the trading campus in there is literally the best thing you'll ever do. And it actually teaches you how to be a trader and not just copy someone else's traders. And then when they get rid of you, kick you out of the Discord, then you're back to being broke again. And in the real world, this is a skill that if the real world shut down, I'd still be able to trade and I'd still be able to make money because they actually teach you how to do it and not just how to follow it.
Mhm. Very well said. All right. Then, for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
Yeah, you can follow me at Market Money Matt on Instagram, and that's basically my only platform. I'm currently working on setting up an X platform. I'm going through the campus in the real world for that. So uh, eventually, I'll set it up once I have fucking time. But
Yeah. Cool. So we'll add that to the description of the video. And yeah, Matt, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. So if you
thank
don't
you.
mind me saying, see, initially you were when I reached out, you were unsure about coming on because you thought maybe better if I have a bigger win to discuss. But I think this was very good. And then it gives you a point to reference in future when we do a follow up. Then people can look back to this interview and see just how much more has changed since then. And you're already doing very well for 22 years old. Basically already have location independence, and soon as your trading progresses, you'll have time independence as well. I'm making thumbs up, but I'm sure people understand. But yeah, it's
No,
been
sounds pretty accurate compared to what I'm trying to do. So
Been great speaking to you, Matt, and I wish you all the best.
yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, man. It's been great.